The 76ers have been one of the biggest surprises to start off the season, especially with the play VJ Edgecombe. We're talking on today's episode about some of the biggest surprises and disappointments that I've had from teams and players since the start of the 2025-26 season. We're talking about all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today. I want to start off talking about this one. VJ Edgecombe is off to such an amazing start to his NBA career. And the Philadelphia 76ers are also one of the surprise teams in not just the East, but in the league as things stand right now. The 76ers are doing what they're doing without Joel Embiid being a big part of it, which I personally think is actually a good thing. If now more than any other time that the Philadelphia 76ers are ready to move on from Joel Embiid, it's now. Now, I want to be clear here, and no way am I saying that he should. Joel Embiid has played in 2 games. He's averaging 20 minutes per game, not really doing too much as far as statistically, but then again, you know, the key thing is having him healthy by the start of the season, right? What the Philadelphia 76ers are doing with being undefeated so far at the early part of the season, which could change everything, is the performance of VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey. Maxey, through 2 games that he's played, is averaging 34 points. VJ Edgecombe, as well, is averaging 24 points per game. These are 2 players that are really doing this at a high level and playing really, really, really well. VJ Edgecombe has only scored less than 20 points in 1 game. Through the 3 games that they've played so far, 24.5 points. He shot the ball 46% from the field and 37% from three-point range so far. He's also averaging 5 assists, 5.5 assists, 6.5 rebounds per game, 2 steals per game. VJ Edgecombe is living up to every bit of anything that you could throw on him as far as being the number 3 draft pick in this past draft. He's having an amazing season. Amazing season. The 3rd overall pick has scored 75 points. He's even outpacing Michael Jordan when you look at points. Not that scoring output is the end-all, be-all when it comes down to it, but it's the fact that he's doing it in wins is one of the biggest things here, right? And you look at the dominance that he's had. Like, it has just been so special to watch this. Then you also look at the backcourt that you have there. Maxey is and the backcourt is averaging 43 points and 8 assists. Like, it's just been crazy to see the Philadelphia 76ers start off the season in this way. Now, I'm not here to say that it's all going to necessarily stay this way as the season goes on. We're at a very early part of the season. We've seen teams start off the season hot or cold and change a lot for that matter. Tyrese Maxey is averaging 34 points, but that's kind of what's been special about this and what the 76ers have been able to do is that, again, to get back to kind of the original point that I was making, that they're doing this without Joel Embiid. And that is the biggest part of this that feels the most sustainable. And then when you get Joel Embiid back, great, right? I've been saying for a while now, the thing that I want to see from the 76ers team is for them to have a team that's good enough to win games without Joel Embiid. And then when you have him there, it could be the icing on top of the cake that can get you a little bit further. Keep in mind, they're still doing all this without Jared McCain being here either, which is going to be another player that could be a really big part of what they're all trying to do here with this. This has been great to see at Edgecombe. And overall, I'll say this, right? One of the surprise things that we can talk about is this rookie class. This rookie class that we initially knew was going to be a deep rookie class, and then some people kind of came down on it, trying to say that maybe it wasn't as deep as what was expected. No, they are living up to everything that you could possibly want. And once McCain comes back as well, like that can get even more dangerous. You had a game when Andre Drummond had to get into this game and he actually gave some pretty solid minutes for the Philadelphia 76ers, right? And so you got even Nick Nurse talking about McCain, and when Jared McCain comes back saying this, inserting him with VJ and Tyrese Maxey and Quentin Grimes group is the plan. That was sort of the plan going into the season. Again, I think they all can do a variety of things and give us a chance to have some more depth. We need him back. We look forward to having him back. Nick Nurse is doing a hell of a job to start off the season with the 76ers team. And in the episode where I want to talk about some of the surprises to start the season, there's no doubt that, I thought VJ Edgecombe was going to be good. But this good, this early on, and this is the second year in a row where the Philadelphia 76ers have had a player that has surprised early. You look at the start that Jared McCain had to the season last year. this is going to be a fun group to watch. And this is going to be a fun group to see how this continues to develop over the course of the season, because there's no doubt that the 76ers have been one of the bright spots through the first week or so of the season, and they don't show any sign of slowing down as things stand right now. We've got to see how long they can ride this out. Eventually, he's going to stop. You're going to regression to the mean or whatever you look at, but I said it coming into the season. The 76ers could be one of the spoilers in the Eastern Conference, meaning that for a team that not a lot of people had high expectations for, it can really change quite a bit for them to where they can win. I can see them winning 35 games. I can see them contending for 50 wins in the season, right? It just depends on how things goes. But so far to start off the season, and I know it's a bit of an overreaction, it's definitely one of my surprises. To get into one of my surprises as well on the positive side of things is the San Antonio Victor Wembanyama is literally playing at hitting all the potential that we thought we would see from Wemby. And it's amazing to see. He's averaging 31 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks per game, 1.5 steals per game. Wemby looks like I said last year that it looked like Wemby was a little bit ahead of schedule. One of the things that I did judge Wemby on was the fact that teams were able to put wings on Wemby to kind of force him outside the paint, which not necessarily completely nullified him, but it negated some of the strengths that he had. This season, Wemby seemed to add some, and Wemby's still adding and developing a bag, right? He still doesn't have that fully, but you're seeing Wemby now in the way that he's being able to develop being huge. It's been great to see. And then you see how players are playing off that. You have Wemby averaging 31 points. You got Stephon Castle averaging 18. Devin Vassell averaging 16.5. Dylan Harper averaging 15 points. You got Keldon Johnson averaging 12 points as well. This team is doing it with balance. And the Spurs coach has seemed like he's figured out a pretty solid rotation to use this team. And keep in mind, also, De'Aaron Fox isn't even healthy yet to start off the season. Jeremy Sohan isn't even healthy yet this season, right? So you have all these things here that could come back, and this team could really start finding their way. And the Spurs, which is a team that are 4-0 to start the season, have, I do look at this as them being a little bit ahead of schedule as well. But it's a team that's coached really good by Mitch Johnson. They have a transcendent star that's turning into a superstar in this league and Wemby, a true unicorn. It just comes down to staying healthy. And that's one of the questions here with the San Antonio Spurs, with Wemby playing over 32 minutes. Is it too much wear and tear, especially with the style of basketball that they're playing, that eventually you're going to have to slow it down a little bit? And we'll see. Depth is going to be a thing here, but Wemby is not only must-see TV. Wemby and the Spurs are a team that you look at the standings in the Western Conference, and while things have not really kind of, again, way early into the season, too early for standings to really matter, right? But you got the Thunder that's undefeated. You got the Golden State Warriors is 3-1. And then everybody else basically in the Western Conference has two wins that are all in that are expected to, right? But you still got teams that are struggling. The Houston Rockets 1-2. The Dallas Mavericks 1-3, right? These are teams that could be really good. The Sacramento Kings, despite being 1-2 as well, have played some pretty solid basketball. They just haven't been able to get over the hump to win. But the Spurs have been such a great story to start off this season, and I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. In the season that Wemby, we could see Wemby legitimately win Most Improved Player and Defensive Player of the Year. And if he keeps this up and the Spurs win 50-plus games, you could be talking about somebody who wins Defensive Player of the Year and MVP at the same time. I don't think you're going to get Most Improved if you win MVP, but I think you have to look at that, right? So, I listen, watching Wemby play basketball is special, and it's fun. And it reminds me of when you see players that you know just kind of have it, and they're such unique players. And that's what Wemby really is and has been so far to start the season. And it just comes down to, can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy? And if he does, man, it is going to be a major season for the Spurs and Wemby, and we'll see where that goes. Now, I do have a disappointment that I want to talk about. I have two disappointments, actually. One of them is the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks spent a lot of money and assets to acquire defensive players on this team. And so far so that they aren't really high up there in defensive rating at all. They're not high up there in offensive rating, which, they've done a pretty solid job at over the course of the last couple of years. This is the Atlanta Hawks team that right now, I will say this, they just haven't found their rhythm. They overall have a net negative on the season of negative 9.5. They're 25th in offensive rating at 110, 25th in defensive rating, 24th in true shooting percentage. This just feels like a team that has yet to really find its thing, right? And yeah, you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who's playing some really good on-ball defense. You got Kristaps Porzingis, who's been really good for them, averaging 20 points, seven rebounds, 2 assists per game that he's averaging. For Kristaps, and that's exactly what you want to see from Porzingis, is his ability to do those type of things, right? So he's giving you what you need and what you want to see from him. He's giving you that, right? And so now it just comes down to how consistent is Kristaps going to be with it, and why haven't the Atlanta Hawks been able to turn what they're doing into any wins? And I think it's just, you're going to have to fill it out. But we knew that this was a season where the front office of the Atlanta Hawks was using this to evaluate the fit of Trae Young with the young players and the new direction with this team. You added that frontline defense with Kristaps. You added a wing defender with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. You got Jalen Johnson back, who's playing good. You got Dyson Daniels, who, by the way, we eventually have to talk about Dyson Daniels and his on-ball defense. Off-ball defense is really good. On-ball defense, he leaves a little bit to be desired, but again, you have on-ball defenders here as well. And, the Hawks, after losing to my Bulls last night, they just sit in a place now where it's like they're still trying to figure it out. They sit at 1-3 on the season, right? With losses against Toronto, OKC, and Chicago. The winners come against the Dallas Mavericks. And they're going into a spot in the season where, they have a couple of easier games coming up here. The Indiana Pacers, who haven't won a game, the Brooklyn Nets, who just aren't good yet. And they need to find that balance, because after that, they go Cleveland, Orlando, Toronto, the Lakers, the Clippers. That's going to be a tough stretch there. And so the rest of this between now and the mid part of November is going to be hugely important for this Hawks team to really find themselves. But this was a team that I was expecting, with them adding the defensive players that they have and being able to play at a tempo, to be able to do some things. And as it stands right now, they've been disappointing. But again, this is early on. These things can definitely change for this team, and we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Next up, right, the Houston Rockets. Now, the Houston Rockets have been disappointing because of my personal hype for them, but we know they are drastically missing a point guard, right? And for what that's worth, they have filed for a disabled player exception for Fred VanVleet to get it. In order to get the exception, the panel would need to determine that VanVleet is significantly more likely to miss the remainder of the season than he is to return the season. And if VanVleet were to recover quickly than expected, there would be no restrictions on him returning the season, even if the DPE was already granted. So we'll see. If they are granted the DPE, they would get an exception that's half of his salary, which is $12.5 million. And we'll see where they have there. There are some restrictions. It can only be used to sign a player for the rest of the season contract up to the 12.5, or acquire a player in trade who has an expiring contract with no options that's $12.5 million or less. So that's what it could do. They don't have room under the first tax apron to use the exception, but teams like to have it available if they can, right? And I think that's what this thing is. I still think they're going to eventually make a trade to try to get in some more point guard and ball handling depth for them. I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing, but the Houston Rockets, just because of that, have been a little disappointing for me and my personal expectations on them, but we'll see. Last thing before we get out of here today, Anthony Edwards is going to be out 2 weeks with a hamstring sprain. He suffered the injury during the first half against the Pacers, and so it sucks right now. And, Anthony Edwards is a player that I do have as always an outside chance of winning the MVP and pushing this team. This is a Minnesota Timberwolves team that's been in the Western Conference Finals for 2 years in a row and very well could get over the hump at some point in time. But the Timberwolves are going to have to weather the storm, and they are 2-2 on the season as it stands right now. You look at Ant being out for 2 weeks. That means he's going to miss some key matchups in that period of time. They're going to have to look at that. So they already lost against Denver after he went down with this injury. You still got the Lakers, Charlotte, Brooklyn, New York, Utah, Sacramento, Utah again, Sacramento again, Denver. Those are really what you're looking at this time that Ant is supposed to be out. So it's going to be a little bit of a difficult stretch for the Minnesota Timberwolves, but you got to weather the storm. You got to have next man up. You got to do that. And maybe this is some time where they can forge a little bit of identity and get ready for Ant to come back. But let me know what you guys think on all the topics down below. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything Chicago, for everything NBA and basketball related. And like I like to end everything on, catch you guys the next time I feel like making a video, probably tomorrow. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.